What's up, online community? This is D the Firefly, the only place to get personal finance from a hot garage. So, over in the FIRE movement, a lot of bloggers, podcasters, they're talking about three big expenses that can keep you from retiring early. Now, whether or not retiring early is your interest, I just thought it was important to talk about these three big expenses. I mean, if cutting them down can actually help you retire early, I feel like they're pretty important to talk about, and they could probably save the average Joe some money as well. So, your three big expenses. Starting off, number one, we have home. Cost of living where you live. If you live in an urban area, it's going to be pricier. If you get a mortgage and it's out of your price range, or it's right on the cusp of your price range, one emergency might bankrupt you. And it's not fun. That's something people call house poor. It's when you have a lot of money locked up into a house and it prevents you from doing anything else. Going out with your friends, seeing movies, you're penny pinching because you got a house and you couldn't afford it. Solutions to this are pretty old fashioned. They're also simple but not easy, as with most things in life. So, one solution to this might be to get roommates. There's no shame in having roommates. You're probably like, oh, well, you're some 20-something in the garage. Of course, you're fine having roommates. But, my mom, when I was living with her down in San Diego, she got some roommates from the local college she went to, exchange students, and eventually over time we ended up renting a lot of the rooms out. We still had our rooms, we still had our privacy, and the income from the house made just living in general a lot less stressful. We were able to go out more, enjoy time just in the backyard, in the garden, and just spending more time on like life and being a family, just because we released that financial burden. A lot of people don't take that into consideration, the opportunity cost. Yeah, maybe you don't want to live with people, you're uncomfortable, but money can be uncomfortable too when you don't have it. Another way to reduce your home prices is to just, when you're actually buying a house and getting a mortgage, get less square feet per house. I don't know the stats on that, but I do know people who have these giant 2-story houses and, all but 2 to 3 people living in them. My dad always told me, a bigger house just takes longer to clean. And these days I'm kind of feeling it. Granted, I do and have spent a lot of time living in my car, so I'm probably a little biased. But you know what? I'm going to put my bias out there because I want to be honest with y'all. So the second big expense is transportation. Home, auto, the insurance package. Solutions to this are to not have car payments if you can afford it. Now, there's situations where you might need a nice car. Say you're a salesperson and you got to impress your clients. You might need a flashy car. You can't be driving like the old beater down the street and just puttering along and trying to make a sale on like a $100,000 house or a B2B client, something like that. I mean, I feel you on that. But if you can't afford it, try and buy your cars in full. That means not taking out an auto loan and just making sure you have the money to get it. Now, that doesn't mean being cheap. There's a difference between being frugal and being cheap. Being cheap is saying, I have $500. I'm going to get this very dangerous car. I'm not going to check the Carfax. I'm not going to check the vehicle history, see if there's been any crazy accidents. That would end up being a waste of your money. You just bought a car that's going to break a month later. Similarly, if you have auto loans, they tend to be pretty high interest when compared to things like student loans or, investment management fees. They're pretty high, sometimes higher than credit cards. So just work your best to pay those off. It's never too late to turn things around. I figure it's just generally good advice, especially if you're trying to save money. Now, the third major expense that helps people retire early is food. Now, I'm sure that scares a lot of y'all. I like going out to eat too. I used to be a big foodie, big foodie. But I also took a lot of pride in knowing how to cook. Cooking can save you time, it can save you money, and it can be an enjoyable experience. I kind of set this new rule for myself. I'm not going to go out to eat unless it's something I can't or I'm not willing to make at home. That's not a strict rule. I love my burritos, I love my Thai food, so I'm not going to just deny myself. But, make room for it in your budget. Make room in it for pleasure spending. try and bring maybe your friends and family out with you when you go. But as for generally how you can save money on food, if you're in an area that's makes it easily accessible, buying food in bulk, such as Costco, Sam's Club, maybe even Walmart in some cases, if you can get many packs of Gatorade, now that can save you just a lot of money. Buying in bulk is definitely one way to decrease your food expenses. Not in the beginning, because it's going to be more expensive, but over the long run. Similarly, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but the organic food craze, I feel kind of iffy on it. As a chemist, I understand the importance of pesticides in foods. If all pesticides went away tomorrow, we would not be able to feed the entire world's population. At the same time, I do understand LD50 levels and how pesticides and poisons can compound, especially through the ecosystem. You got pesticides in your fruit, then they run off in the water, they get into the fish, now it's going up in the fish fat, whatever eats the fish now has pesticides in it, and that can be a slippery slope as well. But especially when I go and look up legal definitions of organic food, sometimes, especially nowadays, it can be as tricky wording as organic foods can be defined as organic because they only have to have 30% as many pesticides as non-organic foods. Just be careful, look up if organic food is actually gonna be saving you money. If you want to support your local farmers, if that's something that you value, I'm not gonna say don't do it. If you like going to farmers markets and that's something that's important to you, definitely go get the food. But just watch your budgeting expenses, especially when you're not cooking. I know just going out to eat night after night after night, that's gonna kill you. That's what, like $10 a meal on average? So putting all three of those together, that's gonna be your house, your transportation, and your food expenses. Now, it's focusing on these big things rather than the small things that might save you more money over time. It can be tempting to shame people into saying, oh, well, you're not saving money because you got that coffee. Or, oh, you're not saving money because, oh, look, you got those shoes that one time. Those small one-time expenses aren't the reason you're not saving money in the long run. The reason is the big expenses. An auto loan you would pay every month. Rent, mortgage payments, you pay those every month. Hopefully you pay that every month. If you're not, hit me up in the comments because I got to know how you're doing that. Just taking care of yourself and taking care of these big expenses can really help you cut back and cut down to size and just save a lot more than you otherwise would. So thanks for watching this video. Glad I could share it with you. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what I should do a video on next. And give this video a nice thumbs up for me. Alright, take care, and y'all have a good one.